Okay, good morning. We're going to review the last ice again. So this is the shaila of the Maimon was why it says lamer. And the answer lamer is because they have to draw pimachazik, strength and creation, brought into existence by the Asara Maimores. Good morning, gentlemen. So we have to strengthen creation brought into existence by the Asara Maimores. That's the lamer. And we have to draw into it the Seres Hadibres. The question was, why is that necessary? Since God's invested in creation every moment, and the creation of the very Gashmius is a direct investure, and it's only possible by Atzmus Leibish himself and not any revelation, not any oir, as we explained. So what is this necessary? So he concludes the whole explanation. Mayim Tachtonim, Mayim Elyonim, two levels of Torah, Me'al Rekiah, Mitachas Rekiah. Rabbi Yochanan says that every oira mentioned in Eov there is referring to Kshamim. Rabbi Yeshua Rabbah says it refers to Torah. It's not an argument. There are two levels of Torah. So the sort of Maimoris are really the lower level of Torah. These Maimoris are in Torah themselves. So one of the answers why Vayedaber Elokim, Bereshis Bara Elokim, is because creation is not a gil of Shem Havaya, which in general is the transcendent, but rather Elokim Gematria Teva, and that raised the question that why the Tzeres Hadibris, after the whole explanation of the whole Aveda, is to bring the Tzeres Hadibris, the Mayim Elyonim, the word Chacham Ilah versus Chacham Tata. There were many expressions of this. It is the Toyo in Kelim the Tikkun, that was the emphasis of the previous mind, but it's all the same Nekuda. So the question then why becomes now Ersht. First, the question now is another one. Why Vayedaber Elokim is called Dvarim Me'ila Leimer? Why not Vayedaber Havaya? What is his answer? He answers it right away in the beginning of Vayedaber. What's the answer? Elokim is a Gematria Teva, and that's how Bereshis begins. Here the whole point is that we're bringing beyond creation to creation. So why Vayedaber Elokim? It's startling. It's right there in front of you. Beginning of Vayedaber. Okay, go wait for an answer. Right, wrong, something. You can read the words of the Mimesis for a start. You don't have the old Mime in front of you? That's a new one. Okay, so Gvuras Geshomim. Geshem, there's two levels of Gvura, like everything. There's the manifested level of Gvura, which is Timtzum. But the source of it is even higher than Chesed. We spoke about this yesterday. The Hela Ma'atzmi, the Ein Sof, the theme of Basi Lagani Maimid this year. The Ein Sof L'maylad in Ketz is the Hela Ma'atzmi of Ein Sof. Because essence is not given to expression. So therefore, Gvura is really a much more central expression than Chesed. As we have pointed out, Eizehu Giber, what does the Mishnah say in Pirkei Avos?
Maybe we should teach it.
Well, you're right. What it conquers his inclination means it contains it, which is the opposite of the conventional expression of might, which is expressive. True Gevura is containment. As we know from everyday experience, it takes more effort to contain yourself than to express yourself. Expressing yourself, in fact, is effortless. It's natural. Ispashtus is natural. Self-expression is natural. But you want to say something you don't, that takes more effort. Gvura is rooted more, Gvura is rooted deeper. That's the Vayedaber. The Elokim here is not the Elokim of Teva. That's Gvura, that's Ilus. That's already the creative forces. This is beyond creative. This is the Mayim Elyonim. This is bound up with the Toyu. So this is the Shoresh of Gvura. So Gvura is Geshomim. It comes down in a way of tremendous chesed, Vayedaber. It's even a greater chesed than ordinary water, flowing water, which is chesed. As he said before, that a field, the produce responds far greater to rain than to just watering it here in this world, spreading water over it. It's the Gevurah. First of all, it's the water that comes down with the force, and it comes down because it comes in very high. So it comes down with the force, and it comes in droplets. That's Gevurah. It's a tzimtzum, but these droplets are life-giving. This Gevurah, if it didn't, it would actually flood the world. If the rain just came down in sheets of water, unrestrained, but the whole thing is a Gvura, and the whole thing is life in a deep, much deeper way. So Pasha the Teva, like everything, expresses the deepest Kavanah Elyono. So the Seres HaDibus is the Mayim Elyonim, and the Seres HaMamoris is the Mayim Tachtonim. That's the two levels of the Torah that Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Yochanan are speaking of. So the Kavanah is the Chizuk, that we have to draw into creation Chochma Ilah, the Mayim Elyonim. And as we said, in translating that in simple language, it's not about living a harmonious, beautiful, measurably moral, ethical, every superlative that you wish to add life. It's about living a godly life and bringing godliness to all of those virtues, making those virtues godly and divine. And okay, you don't have the text in front of you, but the end was, that's why that, if you can remember the answer, that'd be wonderful. He asked a question. So first he said, that's why Torah is called Mashal HaKadmoini, God's parable that is Kadmon, that precedes all of creation. Mashal, the word is Kadmoini Shalolam, precedes creation. By that it means precedes even the creative forces of creation. That's what it means. And that's Adam Kadmon. So, but then he asked the question. So in the narrow picture, Adam Kadmon is higher than Ishtalshalas, but in the big picture, Adam Kadmon is actually Elam Abriya. In itself is Atzilus the Klolas. Adam Kadmon is Briya the Klolas. Keser is Yitzirah the Klolas, and Atzilus is Asiyah the Klolas. So it's still bound up with creation. We're emphasizing here that no, we're talking Torah higher than creation by Milyonim. But Adam Kadmon is only beyond creation in the relative sense, not in the broad sense, in the broadest picture of God's manifestations. What was the good of the answer? Remember? Yeah, Chatzonius of Ak, Pnimius Adam Kadmon is talking bound up with the Etz. The Chatzonius Ak is this thought, Shohoya Mabit, Tzeif Mabit Ad Tzeif Kaladoris, it's a Lashon. It's a lesson from Tfilas Musaf and Rosh Hashanah, but that God glanced, and in one glance saw all creation. It's like Shir Atzim B'Koich Mashi B'Poel. At any rate, but that's a creative relationship. But that's the Chitzonius of Adam Kadmon, and there's the Pnimius, and that's revealed in Torah. So how does all this again answer the question? David the Melech essential. This is a hemshach to the Maimon. David the Melech essential because he called Torah Klichem the Shabei Nivra Ilam. He took solace in Torah. Why? Because I'm getting this ball from the world. The world is bottled to all of the didukim and the mitzvahs, the halachas of Torah. He took refuge and solace in Torah's song. It was balm for his soul. Smir is karisali, but he's criticized. What was the shaila? You criticize it because your Torah for you is the source of creation. And the Mishnah says, Chavivin Yisrael, Shanitten Lahem Klichem Donan, one gives not the Alter Rebbe, but one gives Yishaboin Nivra Elam. And even that Rebbe's Gissa doesn't have it explained at the beginning of the Shvos Mayim, that's the pshat in the Mishnah. That's the words kli chemda means a vessel. Vessel for what? A vessel is what you employ to produce. God created a utensil, it's a better word. So what's the answer in the end? What's the Mishnah mean? The answer in the end is, to put it also in simpler language, David HaMelech was escaping the world. Through Torah, he was shielding himself, and Torah is called actually a shield, a tris, a mogin. He was shielding himself from harm. Why? He's not going to be nispal from the world. The world is bottled to Avat in Torah. So forget the world. Ignore what Avshalom is trying to do. And he's persecuted all his life, David HaMelech, from the get-go, from his father-in-law till the end of his reign. He's a battler. He's Malchus. He was the great warrior. The sweet singer of Israel is the great warrior. And mind you, there's two levels of song. There's Mira and there's Shira. Shira is a higher darg. But here called it's Miras. As explained in Chassidus, remember what the words Lezamer also mean? Lezamer aritzim, to prune. Psuki de Zimra is engaging the world and pruning it. You're improving it. That's kind of what he was doing. The world is hurting him, so he makes sure the world doesn't hurt him. And it's a kind of escape. As you prune, you extract, the weeds, the harmful stuff. So he's escaping the world in Torah. But the Mishnah, the Pnimius is saying, and that's one way of understanding the Mishnah. Shabbai Nivraim is the creative force of the world. So what are you getting dispelled from the world when the world hurts you? Draw solace, enter into the creative, the enclave, the inner world. In other words, go into the inner world and you'll escape the external, ugly, painful world. Because that all comes from here, so it has no reality itself. Go into the inner world. The second taich is not escape the world. The whole reason why there's a Torah, the kavanah is the world. So the higher darga is not escaping the world. But when he mamshech, the pnimis ha-Torah, then ultimately is what happened for him in the end. That the many become, not his enemy, become transformed. That's the tachlis. David HaMelech didn't end here. He got criticized. And he was elevated to the higher level. That's only because that Torah can transform the enemy into an ally. Not that he's bottled, insignificant, ignore him. Make him part of it. He's elevated. That's the tachlis. By bringing Torah higher than creation to creation. We're bringing in other, it's all, every Maimber completes the other one. As you said, as Rabbi said, someone said, all you have to learn is one Maimber your whole life. It's all you need. But to understand this Maimber, you have to learn another 1,000 Maimber. Okay, was someone clear? Yeah, gentlemen. Yeah, so now look at the Tefillah in Yonim. It's very brief. Let's have a look at it. You have it. It was posted by Chaim once because it's on the same page, and then I posted it again. So you have to go back too far on the Chassidus WhatsApp. Let's have a look at it. Vayedaber, the Maimer, Aseres Adibres. So the 10 Commandments, Vayedaber, it's called Mechazkim is Asar Mamaris. They strengthen the 10 utterances of creation. That's the lamer. To bring the Yedaber to the lamer. Vatam shetzerich b'chizak ha'maseres adibres v'lei dai. Keich ha'pel shebasar Mamaris. And the reason we have to bring in Aseres Adibres is not enough, the actual creative force, which in the end is rooted in the gashmis of it, in the Eibishter himself, he is because he is, and what can be higher than that? Atzmos, that's the Eibishter himself, of course, answer, It's all filtered through Shtalshalas, Chacham Tata, Mayim Tachtoinim, Malchus, Shaglei Yerdis, and Malchus at the end of the day, because it's part of creation, so it ends up with in transgression and in imperfection. And even if it didn't, it's just creation. You need to strengthen. The strengthen means to bring in a whole new truth, the deeper truth. God's beyond creator. The supernal waters find the fish in the mark of the world is Pnimiusak, and that's what we need to bring to bear. At the end of the day, it's all about revealing the Pnimius and Pnimius Kavana in creation. All right, now the next Maimon. Yeah. Aaron, it's a short Maimon. In the Chassidus that you're verbringen. It's short. If you have to say the bit inside, you'll do the bit inside, but would be appropriate. Huh? It's a page and a half. Not the one you have in front of you. That's long. One we just finished. Not one we're starting. That's here. Take a copy. Okay. Ba'aloischa, this week's parsha. Vidaber, we'll learn it together, friends. Vidaber Vaye, and the Eibishter spoke to Aaron, and he said, Ba'aloischa saneiros, when you lift up, raise up the flames, and he gets instructions as to how to do that. Vayaskein, and the pasuk says, Vayaskein Aaron, and Aaron did so. That's fairly obvious. Of course, he would have done so. Why does the pasuk say that? So Rashi explains, Mefarish Rashi, and Rashi explains, this is, the Torah wants to praise Aaron. They didn't change, didn't deviate from the instructions. And it's known the Shaila, asked by the Alter Rebbe, by the Tzemach Tzedek. Mashakosov Yaskin Aaron, that the Torah tells us that he did so. We find in Torah many commandments given to Aaron the Torah doesn't follow up with, and he did so. So why here by the Menorah does the Torah point out that Aaron did so? It's Shaila number one. Shaila number two, so Chazal asked the following question. Loma Nismach, Rashi brings this also. Loma Nismach, Parshas HaManei, the Parshas in the Sion. So there were many Avedas in the Beis HaMikdash. Why did we get the Aved of the Menorah that follows immediately after the story of the Nesiim, who gave the oxen and the inaugural Korbanos? The Shaila is that the Menorah is not the only Aved. In fact, it's not the first Aved. Cotton Tomid is. And before that is Trumas Hadeshen. At any rate. So it follows because when Aaron saw how the Nesiim dedicated the Beis HaMikdash, the Mishkan for the first 12 days, bringing their Korbanos, he literally, his mind was weakened. He felt badly. That he wasn't part of them in the dedication of the Mishkan. Hashem said to Aaron, by your life, it's expression of Shavua, your role is greater than theirs. You kindle and prepare the neirs, which occurs to me now, the Seder. Madlik, Meitiv and Madlik. Shaila. Meitiv means prepare them. Interesting. At any rate, but so that's what Abishah told me, end of quote. So that's why, that answers why this is this conversation that the Abishah has with Aaron, and hence right away after the bringing of the Kabbanas of the Nesiim, the Torah tells us about the mitzvah of Aaron lighting the menorah. However, the question is, why is the lighting the menorah of Aaron greater than the Kabbanas of the Nesiim? We would think otherwise. Why? There's a greater virtue in their dedication. They brought a great number of offerings to the Eibishter, much greater than all the days that followed. We don't find such a thing. Individual karbonos, a Yom Tov karbonos, but not his individuals themselves bringing such great numbers of offerings doesn't exist, no parallel. And moreover, another big chiddush of their karbonos. Now there's Megillah Ketores. They brought the Ketores, but they're a klal hisa kedeva al mizbeach hachitzin. Usually, there's only one time this happened, that the Ketores is brought on the outer altar. It's only brought by the Kohen Gadol. On the inner altar, and here, the Nesiim, all the tribes, in the dedication of the leaders of the princes, was a temporary instruction. That they brought the Ketores and made it a thing, which is a Vayedaber, on the outer altar, which goes a bit, like Rashi says, that this is the only time this ever happened. Why? Because it's critical when you said, this is the dedication at the very beginning, so that is very elaborate and extraordinary. Like a child, when we educate him, to learn, how does it begin? Is given a gift, and the whole procedure, bringing your child to cheder, the honey, etc., the gifts, the candies. Why? Because you're dedicating him on a path, and it's got to be sweet, and it's got to be rich, and it's got to be elaborate. It's got to be deep. It's a foundation. The word chinuch means, to mechanech a child means to dedicate them on a path. So they're dedicating the Mishkan here. So he concludes, in the dedication of the Nesiim, of the princes, it was tremendous revelation. Said that paved the way, that set the foundation for the bringing of the orderly karbonis that would follow. Now, let's repeat. What's the mile of Chanukas HaNesiim? Number one, what did he say? He mentioned several things. The first thing is...
More karbanos.
More karbanos. The great number of karbanos. No individual brings so many karbanos at once. Number two, they brought ketores. The whole story of Kairach was a Kairach wants to bring ketores, and here the Nesiim bring ketores on his Mizbeach HaChitzon. Gewaltige Sach. And why is this? He explained why it was so elaborate. The Ribuya Eiris, just like what? Parallel is?
That's the cheder, that's what you said?
The chinuch of a child, dedicating a child to Torah. That it's done with gifts and so on. And then he added, and their avodah, this is the final point. What was the last thing he said? Their karbonos achieved what? The last thing, before the number 7.
They could have, that was like the dedication, and from now on they could be makriv karbanos.
All the karbanos brought later is based on this, and because of this. It's all thanks to what they did then. Klal Yisrael is indebted forever to the Nesiim for the Chanukah Samizbeach, Chanukah Samishkan. Concluding, Mashenkim and the Yeladokas and Israel, they Aden, but Aaron starting the Menaire. In contrast, what do we see? The first time he lit was exactly the same way he lit it in all the days that followed. Not like the great explosion of light that there was mitzad the karbanas of the Nesiim. It was ordinary. In other words, that the ordinary Seder HaRagel. So he concludes the question, what does it mean? The Eibusher tells Aaron, that your role is greater than theirs. Yeah. When the fact is that time in fact their Chanukah, their dedication, that they have the riboy, and it's great and it's extraordinary. It's not ordinary. The way he lit the menorah, then is nothing added. He lit the way it's going to be lit by all Kahanim thereafter and himself thereafter. That's the Shaila. So repeat the question, friends. What's the Shaila of the Maimer? 2. First question was, is?
Asking Aaron.
No, what's the Shaila, yeah?
There are other times where it doesn't say by asking Aaron, even though Aaron did what he was supposed to do.
We got plenty of things that he was instructed to do, and the Torah doesn't follow up to praise him that he did so and didn't deviate. This elsewhere in Chassidus and Mefarshim is another shaila. Why would I think he would deviate? Vayas Keinar, this is a different question, but it's a beautiful answer from the Berditchever. You know the answer of the Berditchever that the Torah plays Vayas Keinar. He's expressing his own Vayedaber. That Aaron's lighting the menorah, and we have a bit of asaga thanks to Chassidus. What is happening here? He's elevating the Shamas Yisrael, and it's the gewaltig of it. You would think his hand would tremble, the oil would spill. He just wouldn't be able to do it, either paralyzed or shaking. Yaskin Aaron Kish Poshet. He watched him with absolute simplicity and precision. That is expressive of the Berditchever, the famous Moishe with him. It was with the tefillin with the h'tשכ that could be was the tefillin the day after Sukkot, and he was so excited. He put his hand through the glass to get the tefillin. That Vayas Keinar, like a Ish Poshet, notwithstanding the hasagas and the experience that he had. I mean, we see this by the Rebbe too. Like it's one of the, people come from other cities to Lubavitch. They've a big shock constantly. One of them is the Rebbe. He had fedora and a tie. And then he watches davening. And there's no pshitas shebepshitas. Vayas Keinar. It's barely a movement. The movement's always says in Shulchan Aruch. 3 steps back, bow your head. That's it. Vayas Keinar. So that's the first question. The second question. The Eibush to say, Chol Shadaita, Laman Yismach Pashas, Hamnei Pashas Anasim, Chol Shadaita, he felt bad, so God consoles him. He has a greater portion. So why is it not a greater portion? Because his is only what's not backwards. Why is it not a greater portion?
They all brought special karbanos.
He did the same thing the first day, the second day. There was nothing extraordinary about it. And their avodah was extraordinary. It was korbanos, and it was kteides, and it said in the foundation of all korbanos to come. It's incomparable. Relatively speaking, his was ordinary, and theirs was extraordinary, and that's a fact. In the Mishkan, ordinary avodah, extraordinary avodah. Let's do the next paragraph. Be understood by prefacing that the Rebbe says, and likewise the Tzemach Tzedek Shim Sa'ata B'Tfus. So the Tzemach Tzedek's Maimer is now, the Rebbe says, in going to press. It's in the publishing house in 11. They tell us that it was published subsequently this summer, Chavav, in connection with the Rabbi of that year, Tavshin Chavav. That's when that volume of Ba'aleischa, Shlach, and Koirach of Teira Oyer came out. So there it explains a hefesh bein korbanos and the sin madlakas haneides. What it means between the korbanos of the leaders and the lighting of the menorah is shemitzad zeh hayagam hefresh. By understanding the difference, which is yet to tell us, we'll understand also the difference between the distinction in is as follows. In his matcha korbanos he may be mispayud base. The korbanos of the same, but 12 leaders brought 12 sets of korbanos. Because the fish of Bnei Sadiq can be Shvatim, of course, reflective of the 12 tribes, different paths in the service of God. Shem Yud Beis Efan, they avoided 12 different ways in Avodah. We'll soon explain why 12. Stame. The Chol Shevet v'Shevet Mimsalah Sayale, each tribe ascends in his unique path. That's referring also to the paths in Kriyas Yamsuf. And if he says it here, but also the Yud Beis Gvuli Alachsen, the 12 borders. If you take a cube, a square, and make a cube out of it, there's 12 edges. That's the avodah of what? Of the Nesiim. We'll see this time he's going to be masbid. The whole nasi hikriv a korban. What's a cube got to the square got to do with it? But we'll see. Whole nasi hikriv korban v'neyatzma. Each nasi brought his own korban because it's a different path. Shifta, he elevated his respective tribe. Ve'ilo matlakas haneides ksibalis chasaneides yayir shivas haneides. The menorah is a different avodah. The menorah is 7. Sha'ar and Mailas, Klolis, Neshamas, Yisrael, he's elevating not a particular tribe, but all Neshamas. Shem Bedugmas Menorah, like the Menorah, Shesh Bazayin Neiris, it has the 7 Neirish, Ahim Zayin Madregis, Babedis Hashem, like the 7 basic midas in the service Hashem, which everybody has. Elsewhere in Chassidism is going to bring it here, but elsewhere it brings also that the Avos and the Mois are 7. Yeah, 3 of us are 4 Mois, and they're the founders of everybody. Everybody's father and mother. The Shvatim are individual. We belong to one Shevet. It's not the Avodah of the other Shevet. So the Shvatim is Yud Beis. But the union of the Menorah is 7. That's why Kriyas Yamsuf was 12 paths, but Lasid Lave, the river will be Shiva Nechalim, 7 streams, also the same union. And that's why the Yam Shel Shlomo, the big brass basin that Shlomo HaMelech made, the Kir became this huge vessel of water. He made it. It was carried. Yud Beis Podim. The 12 oxen that upon which this basin was situated. This was in the Azara. That's the Avodah of the Nesiim. That's Bia. 12 oxen. It's all connected. Whereas the Menorah is Atzilus, Menorah is Klal Yisrael, the 7 branches. So we have the difference already. Right now, the Nesiim is individualistic, and each one has their Avodah, not the other one, different to the other. And Aaron is elevating Yisham, all Klal Yisrael.